Hey you guys, I just wanted to make a really quick video to talk you through some of the goods and bads and easies and hards, I guess, the good, bad, and the ugly of the 4-week gut protocol. So I'm 2 weeks in, almost 2 weeks in. I've lived a lot of life in there. I've got 3 kids. One's a baby, the 2 are older. I've got a husband, and so I just kind of want to walk you through what this looks like from like a real life perspective. The first things that I want to talk about are like the things to look forward to. So for me, I have so much more energy. Before this, I was like mixing up my words a lot. I had a lot of brain fog, excuse me. And a lot of it was just from like not really good sleep and having a baby and then just like thinking for everybody all the time. And so I kind of just thought that was how it was supposed to be. But then after about 5 or 6 days into this gut protocol, I was like waking up and like just back to normal again. Things didn't feel hard to say. It didn't feel hard to read. Like it was hard for me to do a Bible study before this because I would sit down and like I just couldn't even focus on the words really. And now I'm back to like doing my Bible study and enjoying it because it's not just like a struggle to even read the words on the page. I know that sounds really extreme, but that's really where I was with a lot of this because I was eating a lot of sugar before and a lot of inflammatory foods, and it was affecting my gut, which affects your brain. So there's that. Another thing that I noticed is also less anxiety. Like I'm able to look at all the tasks in my home, which are a lot right now, and just do them instead, or just pick one and get it done, and then go to the next one and get it done instead of just freaking out and then just doing none of them, which is what I was doing before. So the overwhelm has become manageable now, and I'm even the other day, my son did something which would have usually sent me into a spiral where I'd have to go have quiet time by myself. You know what I'm talking about? In order to not freak out on him. But he did that, and I was able to just be like, hey, bud, accidents happen. It's okay. And we can move on. Like, let's just fix what we did and let's move on. And when it was over, I was like, who was that? That was not normal Lauren, especially postpartum Lauren. Postpartum Lauren is normally very ragey. And so I was just really, that was like probably if I had a big win, those kinds of moments are my biggest win because they affect my family. Some hard things. I don't want to say like the all happy, fun, field of roses. Some hard things have been the dishes and prepping. So it took a lot of work. I'm in a groove now. So just know that like at first you're going to be like, oh my gosh, like I'm always in the kitchen. But like you get in a groove and you figure out how to do things so where like you can get a lot done and spend less time doing the dishes and less time prepping. The first week is very hard because you have to cook all your vegetables. And so someone asked me, can I just buy those steamed bags of veggies from the grocery store? And my answer is yes. Just make sure you pay attention to what's in those bags. Like I know sometimes vegetable medleys have corn in them and we can't have corn. So make sure they don't have any corn or anything that is a starch that is an inflammatory food. We can't have potatoes, so those are okay. So yes, those steamable bags are fine. Like if you want to take those to work and throw them in the microwave, that's great. You can't have butter on them, but you can have ghee, and ghee is butter. It's just better. It's clarified butter, and so it's actually richer and tastes better in my opinion. So if you love your veggies with like that southern buttery taste, like most of us here in the South do, you can still use some ghee for that, and it's really really good with some sea salt, garlic powder, whatever you like to put on those. Another easy way to get cooked veggies in that first week was soups. And what I like about soups, there's 2 things, is you can hide tons of different veggies in there to get your 30 different, plants a week that you want to try to get in for your gut health. So you can easily hide vegetables and from your kids as well. We'll get to that in a second. And then you can also add in whatever proteins that you're struggling to get. So a lot of you have said that you're struggling with getting that red bee container, which are vegan proteins. And a lot of you have also voiced that you don't want to do soy or tempeh. And so my advice to you is to make soup. I have a black bean chili recipe that I'll link down in one of the descriptions here. But black bean soup has been excellent for me. You can have quinoa, there's actually like a variation of quinoa that you can make for breakfast, where it's more like an oatmeal. So that's a really good way to get one of those proteins in. And so just, you have to be a little creative and you have to think outside of the box. Like, and a good example would be that for my breakfast, I'm also cutting out eggs for the most part on this, just because I feel like my body probably needs a break from those anyway. And so I have been eating turkey, either turkey sausage. The Jenny O's brand is an excellent brand. So turkey sausage and like asparagus, or I'll saute some zucchini with it, or just whatever veggie I have on hand, really, because you don't have to have breakfast foods for breakfast. You can have soup. I am notorious for eating like a vegetable soup for breakfast sometimes because it feels very nourishing to me. It helps me start my day. You can do ground turkey in there for this. Usually I do ground beef. I'm a beef person with my low iron, but for this, you could have a ground turkey vegetable soup for breakfast, and that would be perfectly fine. So think outside the box. It doesn't have to look normal. Another thing about soups is they reheat well, and so I could take those on the go with me, or you could take that to work. Another thing, so just taking foods on the go, like let's go there now. Sometimes you're gonna have to be okay with just eating cold food. And so some of that is like deli meat. You can have nitrate-free deli meat, and that's been a really good one for me to take on the go. Another one, like yesterday, I was at in LBL, which is a park here in Kentucky, and I had made salmon the night before, and I just literally brought the salmon with me and just ate it cold for lunch because I gotta do what I gotta do. And I had some like lettuce with it on the side and some like chopped carrots. Because I'm out of the cooked vegetable phase, so I can start having raw veggies again. When you start transitioning in to raw veggies, do that slowly. Don't just like go straight from cooked veggies all week to like straight raw veggies the next day. That will cause some stomach irritations and maybe some gas. Another thing is family meals. So like your family, if this is a brand new thing for you and your family is used to like the good old casseroles or whatever it is that you eat, and this is a big lifestyle change for you, your family's probably not going to be on board, and I understand that. And that's hard, especially when they're not even supportive of you. And so one thing that you can do, it does take some willpower, is you can make the main course, like the meat, or whatever it is, save like your meat and stuff, or if they're used to meat, save that for dinner. So you eat your vegan proteins at times where, everyone's kind of doing their own thing, and save your meat for those meals that when you know you're going to be with people. When you are eating out, there's like a lot with eating out. So obviously you want to stick with the things on the list, but you're gonna have to just be aware that they are going to use canola oil, they're going to use soybean oil, they're probably corn oil, there's going to be corn syrup. So even if it's like a healthy meal, so here's my example, and I'm totally outing myself because this is fine. Like, you're going to have to do this sometimes. We went to a Mexican restaurant last night, and I was like, I'll get chicken fajitas. I literally only ate the chicken and the refried beans because that's allowed. I ate the chicken and the refried beans and the vegetables, and I know that there was canola oil in there. I know there was soybean oil, something like that. And that's just one of those things that you just kind of have to like go with it. Now, good news is I didn't feel inflamed. I actually feel still just perfectly fine. So I didn't react to that, but just know that that's going to be in there. So don't try to do that all the time and get all your meals out, because they will use really low quality oils that are terrible for your gut and just terrible for your overall health. And that's honestly it, you guys. As far as the fermented foods goes, that is new for a lot of people. There are such a thing as fermented pickles, so you can get that. It's called Bubbies, Bubbies, Bubbies brand at Kroger and Walmart here in local stores. They have fermented pickles, and they also have fermented sauerkraut. You have to look at the label. If it has vinegar in the nutrition facts, then it's not fermented. It's just pickled, and there's a difference. Another thing that you can have, one of your yellow containers, your yellow B, I believe, can be kombucha, like 6 to 8 ounces, I believe is what it is, of no sugar added kombucha. So she wants you having 3 different types of fermented foods a week, and kombucha can count for that. So you've got kombucha, there's kimchi, there are pickles, there's sauerkraut. All these things can be fermented foods if you find them in the store. And she's also got a list of those, like mustard is a fermented food, in case you didn't know, or can be at least. So just look for those things. And even if you're like really even if you're really struggling with those, if you can just get in 1 to 2 fermented foods a week, it's going to dramatically help your gut. It's going to give you a lot of probiotics that you can't really get from like pill probiotics, because this is from actual food sources. And so I just really want to encourage you to just embrace it. Embrace it all. It's going to be hard. Good things are often hard, and you can do it. You absolutely can do it. And then just so you know, you can have, and I just, again, this comes with like self-control. You can have some chocolate each week. There, she does have a treat list. Please make sure that it's vegan, that it doesn't have any added sugar, or if it does, it's very, very little, and it stays under your 10 grams per day. By the way, I did want to hit on this really quick. I highly, that like I said, those vegan protein sources on the red bee container, those are hard for people to get. If you are struggling with those, please get Vegan Shakeology. It has made my life so much easier, and I don't really even know what I'd be eating right now if it wasn't for that, for some of my bee proteins. Also, it's an easy meal because I just told you all of this meal prep is really hard. So it's so nice to be like, oh, here's a meal that I can just whip up in my blender and hide vegetables in, because I do. I hide cauliflower in there, I had spinach in there, and you can't taste any of it. So you can hide things in those shakes, and I can't even tell you how big of a blessing that's been. Also, you can have 3 cups of coffee on this, and that includes decaf, because coffee itself is actually a gut disruptor. And so you can have 200 milligrams of caffeine, but only 3 cups of coffee per week of that. And so it's not about the caffeine, it's the coffee itself. So if you are terrified of being like off of coffee, you can do matcha, or I highly recommend Energize, because it only has 2 grams of sugar in it, of added sugar, and so that keeps you under your sugar for the day easily, but it feels like a really good treat. Almost like, for me, I do the lemon. It's like this wonderful lemonade that I get to have every day, and it hits all the cravings, gives me some caffeine, and it's still good for my gut. So, and there's no crash after that. So those are my biggest tips. If you guys have any questions, please reach out to me. And that's, yeah, I'm excited. Like, I'm excited to get you rolling.